Gary Wall here, and this is Bridging the Week for January 5th to 9th, and today is January 12th, 2015. Good morning. The world was fixated last week by tragic events in France. Notwithstanding, a few important regulatory developments occurred or became public. These included the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority's release of its examination priorities for 2015, and China's chief financial market regulator, the China Securities Regulatory Commission, proposing rules to accommodate the trading of certain domestic futures contracts by foreign persons through foreign brokers. We have some important stories to cover, so let's get started. The Financial Industry Regulatory Authority issued its annual letter to broker-dealers setting forth its regulation and examination priorities for the new year. In general, FINRA indicated that it would concentrate its reviews on, quote, key sales practice, financial and operational, and market integrity matters. However, it also reminded members they must respond timely to FINRA information requests made as part of investigations and examinations. Among specific areas, and there are many more, FINRA will look at this year are private placements. FINRA is concerned about adequate due diligence and suitability analysis by broker-dealers. FINRA notes that while recent amendments to rules of the Securities and Exchange Commission permit general solicitation and advertising when offering private placements, all purchasers of the offering must be SEC-defined accredited investors. These are certain enumerated, particularly knowledgeable or high net worth entities and persons. Anti-money laundering. FINRA says it will focus on certain types of accounts, cash management accounts, and certain DVP and RVP accounts to assess the adequacy of broker-dealers' AML programs. FINRA will also generally be assessing the adequacy of firms' surveillance activities to detect suspicious activity. Cybersecurity. FINRA says it will review broker-dealers' quote, approaches to cybersecurity risk management, end of quote. This will include reviews of their governance structures, process for conducting risk assessments, and how they address the output from these assessments. Outsourcing. This is a priority area, says FINRA. The agency will seek to ensure that broker-dealers are fully compliant with their regulatory obligations when they outsource them and how they supervise their service providers, and market integrity. FINRA will examine firms' technology supporting electronic trading and related controls with an emphasis regarding, quote, the development and ongoing supervision of algorithms, end of quote. FINRA will seek to identify algorithms that promote manipulative trading activity, as well as firms that grant direct market access with inadequate access controls. I guess this FINRA advisory will make this year's examination more like an open book test. Let's see. The China Securities Regulatory Commission is soliciting public comment on proposed rules that, if adopted, will permit certain foreign nationals and brokerage firms to trade particularly designated futures contracts listed on China's futures exchanges. Under CSRC's proposal, overseas customers will be permitted to access approved futures either through Chinese or overseas brokers, or trade directly through exchange facilities subject to exchange approval. Only local brokers could directly clear approved products of foreign nationals or qualify overseas brokers that establish or control entities in pilot-free trade zones in China. One is located in Shanghai. CSRC, the relevant exchange, the China Futures Association, and the China Futures Margin Monitoring Center would all play roles in monitoring aspects of trading by overseas customers and brokers. Among other things, qualified overseas customers would have to satisfy eligibility requirements established by CSRC and the relevant exchange. Authorized foreign brokerage firms would have to be subject to oversight by a regulator with a memorandum of understanding with CSRC governing cooperation. Relevant futures exchanges, domestic futures companies, and overseas brokers would have to establish and administer a suitability system in connection with trading by foreign nationals. CSRC contemplates a large trader reporting type regime in connection with futures positions and will require overseas traders and brokers to submit to regular or random on-site inspection. CSRC published its guidelines on December 31st last year, and comments are due by January 31st this year. Media reports have suggested that the crude oil contract traded on the Shanghai Futures Exchange is likely to be the first beneficiary from the new rules. On January 2nd, ICE Futures Europe published rules prohibiting disruptive trading practices that are similar to rules previously proposed by ICE Futures US and ICE Futures Canada But there are differences. In general, unlike the proposed disruptive trading rules of ICE US and ICE Canada, which themselves are different from each other, the proposed rules for ICE Europe seem to prohibit all conduct that touches upon 4 prescribed activities, not just intentional conduct. One additional type of conduct is subject to a quote-unquote reckless disregard standard, however, i.e. entering an order with reckless disregard for the adverse impact of the order. The 4 prescribed activities include conduct sometimes regarding as spoofing, misleading other participants, overloading, delaying, or disrupting exchange or other market participants' trading systems, and disrupting the orderly conduct of trading. For example, whereas ICE Futures US proposed to prohibit trading activity with the intent to overload, delay, or disrupt the systems of the exchange or other market participants, ICE Futures Europe proposes that a trader shall not overload, delay, or disrupt the systems of the exchange or other market participants without any qualification or reference to intent or reckless disregard. An accidental incident could seemingly be a violation of this provision. ICE Europe's proposed new rules are scheduled to be effective January 16th. ICE Futures US and ICE Futures Canada's new rules are scheduled to go into effect on January 14th. Well, that's it for this week's Bridging the Week. As always, there is more information in each article and more articles on the article version of Bridging the Week on this website. Check it out. Until next week, have a great week, and in solidarity with the people of France and a memorial for the fallen victims of last week's terrible tragedy, Je suis Charlie. Ciao!